The Uprights Live. I'm here with Joe and Sammy. My name is Matt, and we are reviewing this Week 13 Sunday slate that isn't quite over, but these games are essentially over with Pittsburgh and Buffalo just wrapping up, and the Chargers and the Raiders just wrapping up here as well. Then we're also going to predict Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football, and we're going to get as much done as we possibly can here. But first, all those beautiful YouTube things. Okay, like, comment, subscribe, share the stream with your friends, send us your questions in the chat as well. We will be responding to all the chats that get sent here, and we're going to talk about it live. But first things first, speaking of respond, okay, Joe was talking pretty heavy in the chat today because the game that happened today, and I put out a short on our YouTube channel that's gotten a pretty good viewership, like 15,000 views. Shout out to anybody who saw that. But I put out a short that said the Los Angeles Rams are the best team in the NFL. And they proceeded to follow up that short by losing on the road in Carolina. The now 7-6 Carolina Panthers defeat the now 9-3 Los Angeles Rams. And Joe, I'm here to look you right in the face and say, I am not sorry. I did not jinx the Rams. I told you guys at the very start of this game, I knew this was going to be a far tougher game than most expected it to be. Okay. Early window game, West Coast team travels to the East Coast. Panthers have a very good run game. Okay, I thought they'd get Rico Dowdle a little bit more involved. Chuba Hubbard was also very involved in this game for the Carolina Panthers. Just 6 carries last week for Rico Dowdle, though. When he gets 10-plus carries, the Panthers are now 7-1, less than 10 carries. They're 0-5, okay? So get Rico Dowdle the ball, run the ball efficiently is the recipe for the Carolina Panthers. The Seahawks and the Bucks in the previous 2 weeks against the Rams also ran for 120-plus yards, and then 40 carries for 160 yards today from the Carolina Panthers. It also took Bryce Young throwing some insane dimes. And even then, okay, the Los Angeles Rams win this game if Matthew Stafford takes care of the football. Okay. He was due for some turnovers. Considering he literally broke the record today with his first touchdown pass, where he had 28 straight touchdowns with 0 interceptions. Okay. So he was due for a couple of turnovers, but then a pick 6. Okay. That's 7 points, a tip pick in the end zone. That cost them 3 points as well. And then the sack fumble while they were in field goal range towards the end of the game as well. That's 3 more points. So again, I doubt the Rams are going to have turnover issues like that each and every game, because Matthew Stafford has proven over the years that he's a reliable quarterback who's not going to turn the football over as much, especially come playoff time. But it was a bad game for Matthew Stafford and the Carolina Panthers. But Joe, my takeaway, Joe, you want to know what my takeaway was? Panthers, baby, 7-6. I'm knocking on wood. Half a game back of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they still play Tampa Bay twice. Okay, again, I'm not saying that they're for sure winning the NFC South, okay, but they have a damn good shot, gentlemen. They got a damn good shot to win the NFC South. So, fellas, give me your takeaways from this Rams and Panthers affair.
I mean, when you look at the team, right, you're telling me what's their identity? What is the identity of this team? What is the identity of the offense? What is the identity of the defense, right? We ask that question all the time as sports fans, as sports enthusiasts, and as sports commentators, right? We want to know what the identity is. The Carolina Panthers have found their identity on the offensive side of the ball, right? It is run the football, play smash mouth, control the clock, and when you need a pass, right, you need a timely throw, you go to your guy. Bryce Young, in critical situations, has handled those situations almost better than any other quarterback in the NFL. He's right up there with him in critical situations. 4th down conversions and everything like that they do. When he had to make a big throw in this game against one of the best defense, if not the best defense in the NFL, he made that throw. That 4th down touchdown to McMillan was perfect. You can't throw it any better than that. That is a 10 out of 10 throw, right? And we give Bryce Young so much flack, right? And it's deservedly so sometimes, right? Sometimes Bryce Young is not the best quarterback he could be.
He's trash. Sometimes, yeah.
However, in this game, I was like, I have hope in the Panthers now. I was like, I think that you watch them. If that's the Carolina Panthers you get, right? A game like that is the type of game you get from the Carolina Panthers. I think any given Sunday they could beat anybody in the playoffs. It's a possibility. I mean, Sammy's making a face right now. What did we just say the Rams were last week, Sammy? The best team in the NFL, I'm pretty sure, is what we said. Who lost to him today? And you're going to sit there and make that face? Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Look, man. All I'm gonna say is, as Matt referred to, the Rams did turn the ball over 3 times, but I do want to credit the Panthers, though. I don't want to disrespect the Panthers. It's just it's hard for me to say, oh, this is who they are when they lost to a team like the Saints not too long ago and they got dominated by the San Francisco 49ers. Just this
that was
past
without
week.
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young played in that San Francisco 49er game.
Pretty sure he didn't.
He did.
No, he did. He threw a pick in the red zone.
He was pretty bad, yeah. Pretty
Yeah,
garbage.
he played bad.
Yeah,
Either way.
trash. Yeah. So my point is, back to what I was saying. My point is that like it's easy to say, oh, it's who they are after they beat the champs. But like the problem is that like, is it really who they are, or did they just turn the ball over? They just force 3 turnovers and just so happen to get a pick 6 in one of those turnovers. Like, look, I'm not gonna say that this Panthers team is trash. I'm just saying if we ran this back come playoff time, it would be a different result. And I think both of you agree with this, correct? Like, I don't think anybody gives look like with respect to Panthers fans, okay? I don't want to disrespect anybody. But like I just think that the Panthers are still an average team. Now, average can do anything, right? They could go and beat one of the best teams in the league, but they could also lose to one of the worst. So I think what happened today was just a case where the Panthers got fortunate. They dominated the clock. They had 35 minutes of time of possession, which is good. Which is if they can keep doing that and Bryce Young can constantly make these throws, Joe, I would agree with you. Here's the problem. No, he can't always do this. We've seen it time and time again. Bryce Young does not step up. So I'm rooting for the kid. I am. He's a great personality. I actually really love Bryce Young's personality. I love how he smiles a lot. Kind of reminds me of me, a smiler. But it's just the problem is that he is so inconsistent with how he plays, like every single week by week. You don't know what you're going to get. And I don't trust that against the elite of the NFC come playoff time. It might work in a random regular season game after a pick 6 and forcing 3 turnovers. It might work, but I don't think it's very sustainable is what I'm saying. So shout out to the Panthers. I think this is a step in the right direction for the Panthers. I do think, like, regardless of what happens this season, they see like something. They see some progression. So it's a success already for the Panthers. Whatever happens, it's already, we've seen the progress. I think Dave Canellis is 1,000% the guy.
Yeah, no, they've made significant progress in Carolina, and this is kind of what I saw, pretty much what I saw coming in the preseason. I thought they were going to be around 9-8 and be able to compete, like I mentioned, for the division title. And I like what I saw at the end of last year from Dave Canales and Bryce Young. You saw Bryce Young start to improve. You saw Dave Canales' system start to implement itself with Bryce Young and that offensive personnel, and then you add some talent like Ted McMillan in there on the offensive side of the ball. And we've seen them improve. But like you mentioned, Sammy, again, I was big on them before the season. We've seen it throughout the season. This team is not consistent. Like they are one of the most up and down teams. They'll have their highs are as high as any, basically any team in the NFL, and their lows are about as low as any team in the NFL as well. So again, they've got to become a more consistent football team. Bryce Young's got to be a more consistent football player. I get so frustrated watching Bryce Young, especially like today. It's like, you can do this much more often. Like the throw, you talked about the throw to McMillan, the throw to Coker, I thought was even better. The throw down the sideline to Jacob Coker, I thought that was an even better throw. And then obviously, he seals the deal at the very end. So yeah, I wish they were a little bit more consistent. But the Panthers, I'm not saying, I'm just saying the Carolina Panthers, they're going to have a chance to win this NFC South down the stretch. But a team that's also going to have a chance to win their division down the stretch, that's also a very inconsistent football team. We just saw them lose 26-7 to the Buffalo Bills, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Okay, the Steelers fall to 6-6. They're still tied atop the AFC North with the Baltimore Ravens. However, okay, this offense, and again, I know Aaron Rodgers went down. He came back in. It looked like he broke his nose. He was whole face was all bloodied up, and then obviously he's still dealing with a broken wrist. So Aaron Rodgers, you can't question his toughness. However, you can question this Steelers offense. This Steelers offense is horrible. Okay, this Steelers offense is objectively terrible. And when you look at the worst teams in the NFL as far as offenses go for yards per game, you look down at that list. It's teams like the Jets. It's teams like the Saints. It seems like the worst offenses in the NFL. And then you see the Pittsburgh Steelers smack dab in the middle of the worst yards per game offenses in the NFL. And it's because this team can only score points if the defense creates turnovers. We saw it. Their only touchdown today was off that James Cook fumble. Other than that, this team is absolutely atrocious on the offensive side of the ball. They can't throw it. There's not enough pass catchers. There's not enough weapons in the pass game. Aaron Rodgers isn't the Aaron Rodgers of old either, where he can, make up for not having a lot of weapons in the pass game. And then this running game can't do anything either. So again, it relies a lot upon this defense, and this defense, we saw them absolutely gashed by this Buffalo Bills running attack today. The Bills ran all up in the field, all over them the entire game. James Cook over 120 rushing yards today. So again, this Pittsburgh Steelers team, guys, again, I haven't believed in them since before the season. This season has played out, and I still don't believe in them now. This Pittsburgh Steelers team is not making the playoffs, in my opinion. And even if they do make the playoffs, it's typical Pittsburgh Steelers losing the wild card round. So, fellas, give me your takeaways from this Bills and Steelers game that just wrapped up.
You want me to go, Joe?
Yeah, you can.
All right. Look, this is exactly what we thought you guys were. Okay, this is not a surprise. Are we surprised, gentlemen? Joe, Matt, are you surprised? No, we're not surprised. We're not surprised. Of course, we're not surprised. It's the same thing every single year. And you want to know something? Is that every single year we have to say it slowly, right, Joe? Right, Matt? Like, we have to say slowly. You guys are gonna do the exact same thing, and you guys are going to flame out later on in the season, except you guys are flaming out a little bit earlier than I thought you would. And I know you're going to say, oh, Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Okay, well, he was hurt. He already got hurt. Okay. But it's not like he was like breaking any records when he was playing. He wasn't playing that well to begin with. Okay. And then on top of that, look, every single game where they face a difficult opponent is the exact same, right? They start off and it looks competitive, right? It looks like it's gonna be a very feisty. Oh, Mike Tomlin's got them playing their game, and then the game goes on, and you realize, oh, wait, this team's actually not that good. No, it was just a first quarter thing, and then they lose, definitively lose, it's not even close. Look, I hate to break it to Steelers fans. You guys are not gonna win this division. You guys aren't. I don't know who is gonna win this division anymore because over there in Baltimore, Lamar Jackson seems to be washed. I don't know what happened there. Was it 5 turnovers in a game? What the heck? I guess the Cincinnati Bengals defense.
We'll talk about it.
The spooky and scary defense. We'll get to you guys in a second. But look, for the Steelers, it's predictable. It's predictable. In this game, you guys didn't have the ball for more than for barely 18 minutes. The Buffalo Bills dominated time of possession. You guys have 175 total yards. You guys had 10 first downs total. 10 first downs. That's pathetic. It's typical. It's what we expect, Joe. And honestly, nothing else needs to be said. I would not be surprised if this team loses out. That's how bad I think the Steelers team is. Although you do face the Dolphins, who I'll get to them in a second, but you do face the Dolphins and the Browns. So look, regardless of this, you might lose out. You might lose out. It's actually a possibility, especially with Rodgers out. Jeez, man.
Yeah, this game, I remember we put out a video and we said that the Baltimore Ravens were going to win this division, and all the Steelers fans talked from the channel we're 2 games up on them. How could they possibly win this division? And now we're looking at it, well, maybe the Cincinnati Bengals might win out and win this division. I don't know anymore, man. It might happen, all right? Joe Burrow's back. He looked great. They didn't have T. Higgins, but it didn't matter. I don't know. The AFC North is probably the most confusing division in football right now, bar none, because there's no reason for it to look the way it looks, and it still hurts me every time I look at it. But enough talking about these AFC North teams and the Steelers. I want to talk about the Bills here a little bit, right? And when they brought in Brandon Cooks, who isn't what he was. He's not a top wide receiver anymore. I think that hasn't been one for quite some time. But you start to see they're starting to lean more and more to this is a James Cook-led offense right now. This is a running-based offense right now. Right now, you can't really take too much from this game, right? 51 carries is not sustainable in this offense. I don't think it's sustainable. It was more to the type of game that was played. But this is what I want the Buffalo Bills to look like. You need to run the football. You don't have pass catchers. Teams are going to start stacking the box against you. So you're going to have to get creative. right? They're going to bring exotic blitzes. They're going to do these things to you because you don't have a very robust passing attack. You don't have a dominant wide receiver one who can win consistently and strike fear into defenses. This team right now is going to be treated similarly to how the New England Patriots have been treated for the last 3 years till this season. There's no one on the wide receiver court that scares you. We're going to load the box and you're going to see if you can beat us. And right now, I don't think, even with Josh Allen, who, went 15-23 in this game, who I think has improved year after year as a passer from when we first saw him come out till now, even with him, MVP Josh Allen, you're not going to beat teams by throwing the football. You're just not. It's not going to happen. You need to get big. I'm talking 12 personnel. I want to see 2 tight ends on the field at all time. Because guess what? When it comes down to your best pass catchers, it's James Cook and your tight ends. It's Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. Those are your 3 best receivers, right? And then Shakir in the slot. Right? That's what I want to see. I want to see you guys go big. I want to see you run the football and control the clock. Because guess where you're playing? You're playing in Buffalo. That's how you win down the stretch. Right? And even if you're not playing in Buffalo, you go on the road in this, in the playoffs. Most of the playoffs teams right now play outside. Run the football. That's what you have to do because you're not winning passing this football. So this is the prototypical game that I expect to see from Buffalo Bills moving forward. This is how they win. Because you did not do enough at the trade deadline to improve your wide receiver core like we said you should. We wanted to see a play for DeAndre Hopkins. We wanted to see a play for some of these wide receivers, that were sort of on the outside. We wanted to see like Rashid Shaheed, we wanted to see you try to go get Olave, right? Like people that were available. And you didn't do it.
Yeah, no, this is the formula, Joe. You just talked about it. I mean, the pass game is not going to be good enough, despite how talented we all believe Josh Allen is, despite how well he can throw the football. Like you mentioned, there's just not enough pass catchers. There's not enough pass catching weapons on the outside. This is their formula, and Josh Allen's legs are going to be a huge weapon. I believe he just broke the all-time quarterback record for rushing touchdowns today as well. So shout out to Josh Allen. That's an amazing achievement with how many great running quarterbacks we've had in the NFL. So shout out to him. But you mentioned it. That's their formula. They've got to get James Cook involved. They got to get Ray Davis involved as well, and get him some looks. And then Josh Allen's got to use his legs as well. And they control the clock and then hope their defense can get stops like what happened today. But I want to talk, we just talked about the Steelers who are in the AFC North. I want to talk about another AFC North team. And it's not because I really want to talk about this team. Just want to talk about the quarterback. Okay. The 9-4 now, San Francisco 49ers go on the road and beat Shedeur Sanders in his second NFL start, moving the Browns to 3-9. And fellas, to me, it was another mixed bag from Shedeur. Again, had some nice throws in there, took care of the ball this game, no turnovers, a lot of screens and quick game. I talked about it in our Discord chat. There was a lot of screens and quick game, especially to start off the game. But again, he took some bad sacks in this game. We didn't see that last game. This game, he did, again, take a lot of those bad sacks. He took one to kind of get them up out of field goal range. And then you look at his numbers as a whole, pretty pedestrian. I think he was 15-24 or something like that for 140 yards, 1 touchdown, no pick, and they only put up 8 points. So again, didn't think there was much special or even really awful today about his game. It was just a lot of meh. It was just a lot of, he looked okay. He looked like a rookie quarterback. I still believe in Shedeur. I still believe if you put something around him, he can turn into your franchise quarterback, but there's really just Harold Fannin and Quinshon Judkins on this offense as far as weapons go, and then really nothing else. So fellas, Shedeur Sanders, second career NFL start. What were your takeaways from that?
He still has a bad habit of trying to hold the ball a little too long. I think I said that in one of his sacks where, he held the ball just too long. He either needed to move out of the pocket and start rolling to his left, because that was the outlet he had there. By the time he realized it was too late. He had 3 49ers barreling down on him. Took some nasty shots from Keon White in this game, just absolutely getting just hammered. It was terrible. But those are things that a rookie quarterback has to learn from a pure box score perspective, right? 16-25 isn't bad. 6 yards average isn't bad. No turnovers, I can live with that. 3 sacks for 34 yards, I don't think I can live with that. That's something that has to be cleaned up. It's a learning thing, right? We saw Max Brosmer come out, who we'll talk about here in a little bit, and he had some of the similar things where he's just trying to do too much to keep a play alive, right? And as you see these veteran quarterbacks come along, they start to learn that it's not always about the current play. It's about the next play, right? You have to be thinking a play ahead as a quarterback a little bit, because you have to be thinking, okay, if I don't get this here, what happens next, right? If I'm in field goal range right now, I can't afford to take a sack. So I have to keep that in the back of my mind, because if I don't pick up this third down, I have to make sure that we're still in field goal range. We saw a sack in this game where that was exactly the situation. You're in field goal range and you take a sack, and you can't do that. So those are things that he has to learn as a quarterback in the NFL, right? Because it's different from college. College, you're one of the most athletic people out there, and he showed it multiple times that from an athletic capability at Colorado, the teams they faced, he looked like he was one of the more athletic guys on the field. It's not the case anymore, right? Your clock sped up. If you're going to run, you got to make that decision instantaneously, right? And you have to keep your eyes downfield the entire time, right up until you cross the line of scrimmage. So those are all things I think he can learn from, think he can grow from. But at the same time, you kind of saw this 49ers team was getting after him a lot. They were sending blitzes. This Robert Saleh defense is no joke. Robert Saleh, shout out to him, one of the best defensive coordinators in the league right now. Personal opinion, just right there. So Shedeur Sanders is improving week to week. You see the improvements. Like you said, he's a rookie quarterback for a team that had no expectations of doing anything at all this season. So if all you're getting is week to week improvement, that is fantastic.
It's getting better. He's getting better, and I think that's like really all you could hope for. That's really all the focus should be if you're a Browns fan, just the development of your rookie QB. And hope also that the front office and the head coaching staff doesn't mess it up like they did with Baker Mayfield, right? Like that's really it. They had their franchise QB, and because of their own mishaps, they don't have it anymore. Baker was the guy. So for all we know, Shedeur Sanders could be the guy, but the truth is we need to give him time, right? So look, the weapons aren't good. The offensive line isn't great, and they clearly want to emphasize running the football with a run game that's really not that good either. So like they're clearly trying to like get Shedeur Sanders take off some of the stuff on his plate. They're clearly trying to do that, and that's good. That's good. You want to do that for your rookie QB. But the only problem is that it's just, it's difficult. It's just difficult with the current weapons that he has and with the current offensive line that he has. Joe, you mentioned it. This is a very formidable defense, not really because Robert Saleh is coaching it. And Robert Saleh, you say he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the game. I think I can't name 5 better if I'm being honest. And this is a guy who, mind you, as the Jets head coach, those defenses were constantly top 10. Like every single year, they were top 10 defenses. It's just he couldn't figure out the offensive side of the ball. That's really all it was. So Shedeur Sanders is facing facing a difficult defense, like straight up, right? With that being said, I mean, look, this is just another week to progress. There's not too much to look into. I loved the throw to Harold Fenton Jr. It was a greatly schemed play by Kevin Stefanski. And I also love what he said during his press conference, that we can't blame what happens on the field all on the coaching. Look, man, Shedeur Sanders people could say whatever they want about Shedeur Sanders, about about how he's too cocky. I see nothing problematic about his personality. I've never understood that to begin with. If I'm being completely honest, I loved it. I think he gets it from his dad. And look, his dad, everybody allowed for that to happen because he was an all-time great. Shedeur Sanders isn't there yet, but it's great to have that confidence in yourself and, frankly, in your teammates. Instilling that confidence is very, very important, especially because the teammates kind of suck. Okay, so it's difficult right now for Shedeur Sanders, trying to keep his head up amidst a very rough season for the Browns. Shout out to Myles Garrett though, another sack closer to the record. Hopefully he gets that.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get the sack record. There's no doubt about that. I think he's four full sacks away, and we talked about this last week, Sammy. I think he's got the Bengals and the Titans left on his schedule, and then I think another bad offensive line on there too. So yeah, he's definitely getting the sack record. But Sammy, to your point about confidence, I know me and Joe had to deal with some very, very lowly Mac Jones post game interviews for a long time, where after every single post game interview, he was just like, yeah, we did. It's like, bro, like nobody wants to hear that, like if you lose, like just like, yo, we sucked, we lost, but again, you talked about it, instill confidence in everybody around you. That's gonna help everything. And again, we see how confident Shedeur Sanders is, and I think that's gonna be for his benefit going forward. So yeah, again, another step in the right direction for Shedeur Sanders, but nothing too overly special that we saw today in Cleveland. But speaking of a game that wasn't too overly special, but did have some big implications on the AFC playoffs, I want to talk about this Texans and Colts game, because the now 7-5 Texans go on the road and beat the 8-4 Colts in a huge AFC South matchup. We saw CJ Stroud return after missing the previous 3 games with a concussion. We saw Daniel Jones as well, playing injured on a fractured fibula. Bro has a broken leg, and he looked really bad at the start, but I thought he made some outstanding throws, especially in the middle of the game. Couldn't finish it out in the end, but Daniel Jones, I thought, especially against the Texans defense, that's one of the best in the league, I thought he made some really, really good throws. But again, we talked about this on a previous episode. The blueprint is out for the Indianapolis Colts. If you stop Jonathan Taylor, if you can hold him down, if he doesn't rush for over 120 yards, and you put the game in Daniel Jones' hands, especially now that he's playing with a freaking broken leg, you can beat these Indianapolis Colts, and that's what we saw today, okay? Jonathan Taylor had an okay game, but he didn't go crazy, okay? They held him down. They put the game in Daniel Jones' hands. Again, I thought Daniel Jones played pretty damn well considering the circumstances. However, it wasn't enough, and the Texans get a 20-16 victory. And now if you look at the AFC South standings, it's actually the Jacksonville Jaguars atop the AFC South at 8-4. Then it's the Indianapolis Colts also at 8-4. And here come the Houston Texans right back up on your ass, baby. 7-5 for the Houston Texans and third place in this AFC South. So, fellas, give me your takeaways from this Colts and Texans game.
I can go. I want to go first, actually, Joe. Look, man, I said this early on a couple weeks ago, how the Texans aren't out of the race, and I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. I think the Texans are winning this division. I think the Texans are going to win this division. It was my prediction early on in the season, and it was wavering a little bit, but I think it's happening. I don't think. Look, the Kansas City Chiefs are reeling. Even though I don't think the Texans will beat Kansas City on the road, they then have the Cardinals, who they will beat. They then have the Raiders, who they will also beat. Then they have the Chargers, who are extremely injury riddled. And then finally they have the Colts, who I'm confident they will beat. So I'm going to be completely blunt here. If they win that game against the Chiefs, I think this Texans team is winning out, and I think they're finishing 12-5. I'm that confident in this defense, despite the fact that the offense has not looked that good. It has not looked great. I think DeMeco Ryans has coached up a fantastic defense. And look, man, it's not like the offense of the Texans is without its talented players, okay? They have tremendous talent on the offense. CJ Stroud for one, Nico Collins for another, and then check out Woody Marks and how great he's been this year. So, look, I understand the offense isn't where you want it to be, partially because the offensive line isn't too great, but the defense is fantastic. It might be the best defense in the entire league. And with that being said, I think this defense can stop anybody in the league. I think they can. And because of that, I'm not afraid of no damn Cardinals. I'm not afraid of no damn Raiders. I'm not afraid of the Chargers. And I'm not afraid of the Indianapolis Colts. So, quite frankly, I'm going to stamp it right now. I think the Texans are going to win this division. I don't know if they're going to win out, because I think next week is going to be tough on the road at night. And given, wounded dog mentality for the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're the defending AFC champs. So I know you're smirking, Joe. I know I've said that plenty of times, but my thing is that the Texans, I think this team can win 11 games and win the division in the process. I think it's happening, fellas.
It's kind of funny, right? So I've been on the Colts wagon all year, and watching Daniel Jones be unable to move around the pocket to his normal standard, I think that's the nail in the coffin for me right now. This team, it could possibly lose out. If you look at the Indianapolis Colts next games, Jacksonville, who's already beat the Texans once, lost them once, right? They beat the Chiefs, who the Colts lost to.
Oh God, I just saw their schedule too.
Right?
Yeah, it's bad.
And then you go to Seattle. Then you got the 49ers and the Jags at home before finishing the season in Houston. you're going up against some really good defenses and some really capable teams, especially in the division, over the next 5 weeks. The Colts could lose out, and it's all pretty much done in by a fibula fracture in Daniel Jones's leg, because his mobility with his legs, his ability to escape the pocket and extend plays was what allowed them to survive some of these teams focusing in on Jonathan Taylor. You don't have that anymore, right? In your defense, you brought in Sauce Gardner to help alleviate some of that pain. Well, he left with an injury. He doesn't think it's an Achilles, but if he's down, then everything you traded for that, right, goes away. So now you're in a situation where, you look like you had one of the top 5 defenses the minute Sauce Gardner come in. Now he's possibly down for a couple of weeks. Daniel Jones does not look like he's mobile enough to be out there to do anything. And that's your schedule: Jags, Seahawks, 49ers, Jags, Texans. They could lose out. I don't see you look at that schedule, give me a game where you think they'll win one.
They're in trouble.
I think they can beat the Jags once. I don't trust Trevor Lawrence for anything.
But even if they beat the Jaguars one time, right?
They can beat them once.
They beat the Jaguars one time. Here's the Jaguars schedule: Colts, Jets, Broncos, Colts, Titans.
Are they going to win this damn division, bro? No, we can't.
I really hope not.
They can't let that happen.
No,
I picked them at the beginning of the year too.
And Roger, do something, bro. We can't let this happen.
I think the Colts could beat the Texans in Houston, like we saw today. Again, the Texans squeaked out a victory against broken leg Daniel Jones. You'd think, I'd say you'd think, but he's also playing football, so you never know if he gets hit on his leg and it gets hurt worse. But you'd think his leg would start to heal a little bit towards the end of the year. But again, not much rest on it because he's going to be facing a bunch of really good defenses towards the end of the year as well. So yeah, the Colts are in trouble. There's no doubt about it. And you talked about the Sauce Gardner injury; didn't look good. He non-contact came up. Limping immediately, calf injury, and especially what we've seen in all sports, really, from calf injuries. People are going to take their time with a calf injury, whether it's minor or whether it's major, and his certainly did not look minor. Again, I'm not a freaking doctor, but it did not look good for Sauce Gardner. So again, Colts are in trouble. Okay, Colts gotta figure it out and figure it out soon, or else they're going to be in trouble. Speaking of in trouble, but I guess they're not really in trouble. This is a game I don't really want to talk about, but since one of our co-hosts is a fan of this team, we guess we kind of got to touch on it real quick. The Dolphins won. Sammy, do you want to talk about your freaking Dolphins? I really don't want to talk about them, but I'm guessing you want to talk about them, so talk about them.
I mean, we don't have to if it hurts your feelings, man.
No, it doesn't hurt my feelings.
I don't want to talk about it.
The Dolphins' playoff hopes are still alive, baby.
I don't want to hold on.
Yeah, get your hopes up.
I don't want to do something you guys don't want to do. I'm not a selfish co-host. Like, what's going on here?
Okay.
I am not a selfish co-host. Okay, like this is not what I do. I don't leech off of you guys and just for my own sake. Are you out of your mind?
I think that's more of a you and me thing, Matt.
That's just not who I am.
No, that's definitely who he is. Look at how
with that being said, my father's calling me. I'm gonna hold on him. Look, the Dolphins suck. Okay, we suck. We suck so bad. And what sucks about being a trash team is that like when we face other trash teams, it's like, oh my gosh, we have a chance to like you see the rest of the schedule, like oh wait, it can happen. It can happen. And then I see this game and it's like we need a pick 2 to separate ourselves and then a 4th down stop on 4th and 1 to beat the damn Saints. Tyler Shook and the spooky, scary Saints. Like what in the world is this team isn't winning out. Okay. I have the delusion that they will, but this team is not winning out. Okay. If we can barely squeak away from the corpse of the Commanders, then you on top of that barely squeak away from I guess the New Orleans Saints. I don't think that's really them. This team isn't winning out, man. I was just being delusional, and I apologize for making us talk about this subject.
Yes, just wasting everybody's time. Just absolutely the worst thing in the entire world. Terrible.
The Browns, though, too. Like,
we had to talk about Shador. Everybody wants to hear about Shador. Nobody cares about the freaking Dolphins, man. Nobody. We had to talk about Shador, okay? But
All right, Matt,
another one we don't really have to talk about. I just kind of want to mention it because Joe mentioned it. The Vikings 26 to zip against the Seattle Seahawks. Max Brock. Oh my gosh, I actually thought like a little bit before this game. I was like, oh, maybe they're getting a QB upgrade with JJ McCarthy out. Nope, not the case. It's even worse with Max Prosper. Maybe there's a reason JJ McCarthy's playing quarterback because Max Prosper had one of the most brain dead pick sixes I've ever seen in my entire life. That was horrible. And then threw 3 other picks after that. So yeah. 26 to zip victory for the Seattle Seahawks. I don't know if you guys want to touch on that or you guys just want to move on because that was pretty freaking ugly.
It was ugly, and I just want to talk about it real quick. You, as the Minnesota Vikings, you have very young quarterbacks, right? And you got Max Brosmer, who I've seen him throw the football a little bit, right? He spent a lot of his time in New Hampshire. He then went to Minnesota for, a year. I'm a Big Ten football fan when it comes to college, go Boilers. They suck. So I watch Minnesota, right? I see Minnesota at least once a year. Minnesota was not a pass-heavy team. So I'm going to say this again. You drafted and brought in multiple quarterbacks who were not natural throwers of the football, who barely operated in a pro-style offense at all, and brought them into one of the most heavy pass offenses in the NFL. You did it with J.J. McCarthy. You've done it with Max Brosmer. The only difference between the two is one was in college a lot longer and got a lot more football experience, and the other is J.J. McCarthy. So at the end of the day, when you haven't been a run-first team, right? You haven't been a run-first team since Adrian Peterson was a Viking. I've said it 4 times now. And then you brought in 2 guys who don't throw the football very well at all, operate in more run-heavy offenses, and you're surprised that it's not going well? You asked J.J. McCarthy to throw the ball 10 more times a game than he ever did in his collegiate career. The Minnesota Vikings averaged 32 pass attempts a game. All right? They are a 60-40 pass-to-run team. Have been for almost 5 years. You do not have a reliable running back on this team that is predominantly a good runner. You don't. Aaron Jones is more of a receiving back than he ever was a running back. Most of the time you saw an Aaron Jones highlight was him catching the ball out of the backfield and getting in space and being dangerous, not running between the tackles.
He's a solid runner, though. Like, he's not bad. Like, I'd say he's pretty
Jordan
good.
Mason's not a bad runner.
They're not okay. You know why you say they're not bad? Because he ain't good. If they were good, you would say they're good. You said they're not bad. They're okay.
I just feel like we should respect Aaron Jones. This is all.
I respect Aaron Jones. He is a very good receiving running back who is competent running between the tackles, but his primary goal is catching the football in space. That was what he was in Green Bay, right? That's what he was with everyone else that threw him the fucking football here. Did he have a 1,000-yard season? Yeah, he did. But predominantly it was because of the passing game that they had in Minnesota. You still have all of the tools there. Your problem is that you don't have a natural thrower of the football. The reason the offense looks like this is the front office's fault. You gave Kevin O'Connell, one of the best offensive minds in football, unnatural throwers of the football, guys who do not throw the football well, and pretty much have shown that they can't. And you're wasting Justin Jefferson. You're wasting TJ Hawkinson. You're wasting Jordan Addison. And you're wasting Aaron Jones, who only probably has a few more years left in him anyway, if that. This entire Vikings team is a direct result of not understanding your identity and bringing people in and expecting them to succeed in ways that you just think they would. That's why the Vikings are, 4-8? That's why.
Yeah, lost 4 straight. Yeah, they're certainly they've fumbled a lot in Minnesota. It's not a good situation. We talked about it with Jason McCarthy. He wasn't ready. He needed to sit for a few years, and they threw him out there to the Wolves. And they should have re-signed Sam Darnold. They didn't do that. They could have re-signed Daniel Jones. They didn't do that. They decided to go with this young quarterback room, and it certainly hasn't worked out for him. And again, they're a decent quarterback away because again, you talked about it. The infrastructure's there. They're like a regular veteran quarterback away from being like 7-5 or being 8-4, but they just decided to go with these young quarterbacks who aren't ready, so they're sitting there at 4-8, and they're questioning their whole entire livelihood. But a team that did not fumble the offseason, and I want to talk about these Thursday and Friday games because honestly, these Thursday and Friday games were the best games that we had all week, and we just missed talking about them on Friday, so I want to talk about them now before we get to Sunday Night Football. The Bears, the Chicago Bears, what a performance by them on Black Friday football. Again, they beat the Philadelphia Eagles 24-15, and we saw Ben Johnson's whole scheme come together. 2 100-yard rushers between Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift, over 250 yards rushing from the Chicago Bears against a really good Philadelphia Eagles defense. It was a windy football game, so both passing games looked a little bit erratic. Caleb Williams and Jalen Hurts were both kind of missing opportunities in the pass game, besides the one deep ball to Jalen Hurts for the one deep ball to A.J. Brown, from Jalen Hurts, and then the one deep ball to Cole Kmet from Caleb Williams on the run. But again, Williams' numbers look kind of bad, but he was game managing. He was making big plays on third downs. And then, like I mentioned, big throw on the run to Dagger to Cole Kmet. And the Bears won. This was a playoff-style football game. This was a football game that you could see easily happening in January or February. And the Chicago Bears absolutely dominated the front line, the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. They held down Saquon Barkley, and they ran the rock down the Philadelphia Eagles' throats on the road versus the defending Super Bowl champions. And if the defense can play the way that it did against this Eagles offense, these Chicago Bears, man, if they can take the football over, I think Nashawn Wright leads the NFL with turnovers, 5 picks, 3 fumble recoveries, most takeaways in the NFL. If they can turn the football over like they do, Caleb Williams can continue to limit the turnovers and limit the sacks, and then they run the football like they do. These Chicago Bears are going to be a really tough out in the postseason. Fellas, what was your takeaway from this Black Friday game between the Bears and the Eagles?
I mean, we put out a video. If you haven't seen the video, if you're watching this live, you haven't seen our Eagles video, we put out a video. The thumbnail on the video tells you everything you need to know about this Eagles team and why they lost this football game. Okay? Because when Jalen Hurts tries to prove he can throw the football and throws for 30 or more times, they are now 0-4. When Jalen Hurts throws the football 30 or more times. Do you know what happens when Saquon Barkley has 14 rushing attempts or more? They're 8-0 on the year. So if you hand the football off to Saquon Barkley at least 14 times and Jalen Hurts doesn't throw the football over 30 times, you win the damn game. That's how we preach about it all the time. We talk about it all the time. Find your identity, find what works, and thrive in that situation. Right now, teams want to see Jalen Hurts dropping back. They want to see Jalen Hurts throw the football. The messed up part is that when Jalen Hurts is throwing the football and is playing like, a quarterback should, right? They lose football games. So logic would say, let Saquon Barkley run the football. Is the same damn thing that we say about Hunter, we say about Derrick Henry, the same thing we say about Christian McCaffrey. Get your playmakers the football. Jalen Hurts is not the reason you're winning Super Bowls. Jalen Hurts is not the reason you're winning football games. Saquon Barkley is. That's what you paid him for. That's what he got brought in for.
That 3.7 yards per carry is winning you a whole lot of games, huh?
4.3 average in this one, and they only gave him the ball 13 fucking times.
4.3. So. God forbid. He got 4 yards per carry finally.
I will say this. I look, Jalen Hurts is never a top 5 QB for that comment. He never was. But I will say this. I think the problem isn't just Jalen Hurts. I think Kevin Patullo is just not. Like, Jalen Hurts didn't play well this game at all. He didn't. But I think the problem is past Jalen Hurts at this point, because it's not like Jalen Hurts has been absolutely terrible this year. He's actually been pretty damn good. The problem is that Kevin Patullo, I don't know what it is. He just can't seem to scheme the run game very well. He can't seem to scheme AJ Brown and Devontae Smith very well. And if he does, it's just not consistent enough. It's just not a good offense right now. But I mean, it's not that surprising. It's not that surprising now. It really isn't. By this, we're deep into the season, and we saw it from the very beginning that the offense just was not the same as last year. It wasn't the same run game. Look, the offensive line has clearly gotten worse. We all see it. So now, naturally, the offense got worse, and it's a good thing the defense has been good. But in this game, it was not. And I just want to say, Ben Johnson, this is one of the most impressive feats I think I've ever seen. Last year, I think the Bears' run game was like bottom 5. Like, it was not a good run game. It was terrible. This is the second best rushing run game in the entire league now. Okay? Not to mention they're top 10 in points per game. This team, Ben Johnson has done, bro, it's their first winning season in what? Almost 8 years now? 7 years? This is unprecedented. Is Jesus coming soon? What is going on right now? Okay, this is crazy. But yeah, shout out to this Bears offensive line, and shout out to these running backs. Okay, these running backs, Kyle Monangai, and DeAndre Swift. Look, a lot of people have different opinions on DeAndre Swift. Look, man, he gets the job done. I feel like I've seen a lot of hate come his way, and although he doesn't have the best vision in the world, you get Ben Johnson as his head coach and see what happens. Like, this guy is the truth. Caleb Williams didn't have that good of a game today, and I think that's the scary part, is that the Bears were in complete control of this game, and their franchise QB was not playing well. He was not playing well whatsoever. That is a scary sight, because we've seen Caleb Williams when he plays well, and it like opens up the offense. So look, man, the Bears are a scary team. They're a scary team, because this team, if you're going to run the ball like this on the Philadelphia Eagles, who control the line of scrimmage almost 9 out of 10 times, if you're going to run the ball like this, guy, this is a dark horse. This is my dark horse in the NFC, man. I know, Matt, you picked them to win this division, and so far so far it's looking pretty damn good. I don't think the Lions are going to win this division anymore. But it's looking very good for your Bears, Matt. It's looking very good.
This is what I saw preseason. I saw the fact that Ben Johnson could come in, the fact they turned this offensive line around. I did not think this running game was going to be this good, because I even now, like, Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift, like, are solid backs, but they're like, nobody thinks those are like top 10 running backs in the league. It's just the Ben Johnson system. He schemes up run plays better than just about anybody else in the league, and this offensive line is so drastically improved. Like you mentioned, Sammy, we've seen the development from Caleb Williams as far as taking care of the football and not taking sacks, and then if he can implement those Superman plays where he can roll out to his right or roll out to his left, throw an absolute missile on the run to the back corner of the end zone and throw a touchdown pass, or scramble around for 10 seconds, find some space down the middle, use his legs to get a first down. Like, that's what takes this team to a different level, is because Ben Johnson's come in and give him structure, and then Caleb Williams has that ability to be Superman on any given play, on any given game. And man, these Chicago Bears, man, I'll tell you what, they are a dangerous football team. That is 100% for sure. But I also want to talk about a couple of these Thanksgiving games, because super interesting games on Thanksgiving. I went 1-2 on these Thanksgiving games. I did not see some of these results coming. The first one I want to talk about that I did not see coming, the Cincinnati Bengals go to 4-8, moving to 4-8 after a road win against the Baltimore Ravens, who go to 6-6. Joe Burrow's solid return. His completion percentage wasn't where you normally saw it, and yards per attempt aren't normally where you saw it, but he made some big time throws as well. But this game was not about the Cincinnati Bengals, ladies and gentlemen. This game was about the Baltimore Ravens. 5 turnovers, and Lamar Jackson looks terrible. Okay, the last month of football, the Ravens are 3-1, but Lamar's numbers: 192 pass yards per game, 1 touchdown. Lamar Jackson had 41 touchdown passes last year. He has 1 in the last month. 3 interceptions. He had 4 last year, and he has 3 in the last month. 56% completions, 69.7 quarterback rating. Last year it was 119, and he had 7 yards per attempt. But the biggest concern for Lamar Jackson might be he's not running the football anymore. 21 yards per game over this stretch and 4 fumbles in this 4-game stretch, which leads you to believe that hamstring might still be hurt, and he's been showing up on the injury report with a foot injury as well. I still believe, just because of kind of the default of how bad the AFC North has been, I still believe the Ravens are going to win this division, but Lamar's got to be better if they have any chance of doing anything in the postseason whatsoever. So, fellas, Bengals and Ravens, what did you take away from this one?
I think the Ravens are still fine. I think the Ravens are going to be okay. I will say this. I think this is more than anything just a rough patch of games for Lamar Jackson. I know a lot of people are kind of like saying, "Oh, everything's terrible. Like the house is on fire. The stove is on fire." And I would say that, but I've seen a lot of great QBs have rough stretches and find a way to bounce back. And on top of that, look, what a time to bounce back than this coming week. Okay, like they are facing a divisional opponent. Okay, you have the Steelers and then you have the Bengals again. So it's a chance to look, despite your loss, a chance to really separate yourself in this division, a chance to separate yourself from the Steelers, and a chance to really put the Bengals to bed. Like if you beat the Bengals, it's over for them. Like they're going to be under 500 at that point. So with this being said, of course you're a little like, on your toes seeing a QB like Lamar Jackson, a top 5 QB in the league, who's usually like all-time great in the regular season. It's rough. It's rough seeing him, play this poor. But honestly, I'm thinking about it, and this might actually be what needs to happen. This might actually be what needs to happen. Think about this, guys. We've seen so many years where Lamar Jackson has dominated in the regular season, only for when the time comes for you to step up, the time comes for you to really like separate yourself from the Mahomes, from the Allens, he doesn't do it. Well, right now he's in the middle of a tough stretch. It's clear. Matt, you mentioned it. But now is the time. Now is the time more than anything to really show, you know what, I might have a tough regular season, but come playoff time, the sword is going to be sharpened. My team is going to be ready. And look, you have a heavy playoff implications in these next 2 games. I believe in Lamar Jackson. I believe in him. Look, I know it's been a rough month of football, right? But I trust this run game. It sucks that the weapons that Lamar has aren't special. Like Zay Flowers is okay, Mark Andrews is okay, but they're not special. But straight up, when Lamar's at his best, it doesn't matter who he has at his weaponry. So I'm okay with what I've seen. Look, it's rough. It's the sky might be falling for like a couple days, but look, it's a chance to bounce right back. And it's tough. It's tough seeing Lamar Jackson struggle like this. I'm not gonna lie. 5 turnovers is an ugly number.
Yeah, I mean, but like, hey, you know what? If you ever had a thought about what Lamar Jackson would look like when he gets older and his wheels aren't there anymore, there you go. Because he's not he's not running the football. You're not seeing the burst. You're not seeing the movement. Right. This is what Lamar Jackson's going to look like when he gets older. Right. This is why people thought that he couldn't really be a franchise guy, because what happens when the wheels aren't there? What happens when the mobility is not there? What happens when he can't run the football and he can't escape the pocket, right? Can't do those things that make him a top quarterback in the NFL. You're seeing it right now. The foot injury and the hamstring injury are limiting his mobility, right? Anyone who's ever had to deal with a soft tissue injury in your legs or had to deal with a foot injury in general where you're trying to plant and make cuts, it is not happening. There's a reason turf toe is such a massive problem, right? Joe Burrow missed so many games because of turf toe. Everyone's like, it's just turf toe. Turf toe is absolutely one of the most painful things ever for anybody who has to cut, because you only cut on the inside of your foot. And so if your big toe, it's terrible. Terrible. But I also want to talk about the Bengals in this game. And remember how we said that we didn't think the Bengals would be any different if Joe Burrow was playing or not? That was a lie. The Bengals 100% play for this man. I think Joe Burrow brings something to the table that I was not expecting. I was like, the offense. I think this team plays with a more of a spirit, right? They're out there trying just a little bit harder when they have Joe Burrow, and I think it's because they believe in Joe Burrow under center. I don't think they really believed in Joe Flacco. I mean, Flacco kept him in some games, but I feel like this team, when Joe Burrow's on the field, is just more competitive. I feel that in my soul. And so I'm going to take it back. I think Joe Burrow matters more than I gave him credit for in this team. And I think that, you look at how the Baltimore Ravens look right now, and if Lamar's not mobile and they're not going to, realize that and hand the ball off to Derrick Henry, who only got 10 touches in this game, 6 yards a carry, just saying. And you look at the Steelers, who, if they're not turning the ball over like 4 times a game, or forcing 4 turnovers a game, they're not winning football games. This division suddenly seems wide open, more so than we thought 2 weeks ago. Like right now, the Bengals are 2 games back, boys, with 5 weeks to play.
They're 2 games back, 5 weeks to play, but you also got to leap 2 teams. You got to leap. It's not like there's one team in front of you that you just got to get tied with. You got to leap 2. There's 2 teams in front of you that you're either going to have to be tied with or pass. And I just don't think the Cincinnati Bengals are good enough to do that, because to your point about Joe Burrow, again, we saw the defense against our Patriots look a lot better too. Like the defense was stymieing our Patriots offense, which has been one of the league's best as well. And then this week, again, this game was not at all about Joe Burrow to me. I think this game was way more about the Ravens offense looking terrible and the Bengals defense showing up and slowing down the Ravens offense to me. But again, Joe Burrow certainly makes a difference. He's certainly a huge. I guess. It's
5 turnovers is crazy, Joe. You think 5 turnovers is happening like that again? Like like they might play for Joe Burrow harder, but like 5 turnovers is nuts. Like I don't think it's that significant of a
find out.
And Josh put it in the chat too. The OPI on Flowers was a little bit rough, and then likely fumbled at the goal line too. So there was a couple of plays there that could have went either way. But again, that's football. There's always plays that can go either way in every game, so you can't really take those to heart too much. But fellas, I want to talk about these other 2 Thanksgiving games a little bit more as opposed to Sunday Night Football, because I don't know about you. Anybody who doesn't know, Sunday Night Football is Broncos and Commanders, and I think we all have Commanders in that game. Is that correct? Broncos in that game. We all have Broncos beating the Commanders in this game.
Why is this game Sunday Night Football again?
Yeah, crazy.
At the beginning of the year, it looked like a surefire possible preview to what a Super Bowl contender could look like with 2
upcoming. Yeah, well, times change, Joe. Like a lot could change in a couple of weeks, man.
We got to flex that thing out of there, yeah, because I don't think anybody's too excited about this game tonight. So I'm going to speed right past that because I want to talk about, and he's in the chat right now. I want to talk about Josh's team, the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are better than the Kansas City Chiefs. They're a 6-5-1 football team, and they defeat the now 6-6 Kansas City Chiefs. And listen, the Chiefs are 6-6 and in real jeopardy of missing the playoffs. I still personally believe, again, I've been on the Chiefs this entire season. I still believe if they make the playoffs, they are as big a threat as anyone in the AFC to make the Super Bowl. However, it's more likely than not right now that they're going to miss the playoffs. They might not even make it. Okay, it's crazy to say again that I think that the Kansas City Chiefs might not make the playoffs and they're still a big threat to win the Super Bowl. It's crazy to say that, but I personally believe that wholeheartedly, that if they make the playoffs, they're a big threat. They just might not make it right now because they must win out, and they've got games against Houston, the Chargers, and the Denver Broncos as well. So could it be over for the Chiefs? Possibly. And as far as Josh's Broncos go, or as far as, I can't get teams right now. As far as Josh's Cowboys go right now, I still don't believe they're a true threat to like make the Super Bowl out of the NFC. They're certainly much improved. The defense is better, but it's still not great. The offense is, again, you can win any game with this offense, but if the offense has a bad game, can the defense pick up the slack? I just don't think so. Again, 2 huge wins. They beat last year's Super Bowl the last 2 weeks, the Chiefs and the Eagles in a matter of 4 days. So you got to give them a shout out for that. But I still don't think they're a huge threat to win the Super Bowl or make the Super Bowl or anything like that. They could make the playoffs, but this upcoming Thursday for the Dallas Cowboys is a huge one. They got the Lions coming up in a huge game on Thursday. So, fellas, what did you take away from this Cowboys and this Chiefs game?
I think the Cowboys might be a team of destiny. I don't know. I don't know, guys. They beat the Philadelphia Eagles. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know. Look, all I'm saying is a lot has happened this year for the Cowboys. Okay, it's been a very tumultuous year for lack of a better term. Look, I know. Look, team of destiny might be a bit of a stretch. Okay, it might be a bit of a stretch, but hear me out here. I mean, look at their schedule outside. Look, they face the Lions next week. That's going to be a difficult game. We all know it's going to be a difficult game for the Lions. But then after that, they face the Vikings. They face the Chargers, who we just learned Justin Herbert has a fractured hand on his non-throwing arm. So he's not going to be 100% for that game, and they're without their 2 tackles. So it's gotten from bad to worse for the Chargers. Then on top of that, you have the spooky and scary Commanders with Marcus Mariota, possibly. Jaden Daniels might be back by that game, but even then, I like the Cowboys team overall. And then you have the Giants, because it's the Giants, okay? They're not
Jameis Winston in the Giants.
Oh, look, I'm going to be honest, man. The Cowboys, I think they might make the playoffs, man. I think this might be a playoff team. I genuinely believe it. And I know this sounds like me talking up Josh. But the truth is but like, I'm looking at this schedule, and outside of the Lions, I don't see a team that they cannot beat. I feel like they should be favored in every single game. And I know what you said about the defense, Matt. And look, for the most part, I agree. I think Quinnen Williams has been, and Logan Wilson, to his credit, because I didn't think Logan Wilson was very good.
I didn't either.
To their credit, they've been playing some great football. And Martin Schottenheimer, you know what? I'm going to say it. Jerry Jones, I apologize. I didn't know. I was not familiar with your game. They're playing for Schottenheimer. My bad. I forgot his first name. Schottenheimer.
That's Pops right there. Yeah, Marty is Pops.
Marty's the dad, dog.
Oh, yeah.
Real human being, wrong Schottenheimer. Wrong guy.
Look, Schottenheimer, that brother, look, I'm rattled now. Look, Schottenheimer they're playing for that guy. They are. They really are. The offense looks incredible. The defense has gotten better week after week after week. Looking at this schedule, I don't see that big of a threat outside of the Lions. Guys, this team, I cannot believe it, but this team might make the playoffs. Okay, this team might make the playoffs. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for being loving and accepting, unlike the Patriots fans, of course. I appreciate that. Very appreciative of that. How do we do? And now, look, let's talk about the Chiefs for a second. Okay? Because I picked them to win this division, right? I picked the Chiefs to still be a threat, and I still think they're a threat. I don't care. I do not care that they lost to the Cowboys. You think I care? As a matter of fact, I'm going to double down. I think they're winning out. I think they're going to win out as well. I know I'm picking a lot of teams to win out here. But look, I already spoke about the Texans and that being a difficult game. I don't think the Texans are winning that game. I do still think they're winning the division. I don't think they're winning that game. And look, against the Broncos, against the Chargers, I think they can beat those teams. They were very close last time. And look, it's the Chiefs. Okay, this team has been fathering the division for years. Okay, they're not losing 2 games in a season against the Broncos or the Chargers. I expect them to split. I expect them to win out. And look, I don't know if 11-6 is going to be good enough to win the division, but it will be good enough to make the playoffs. And with that being said, once they do make the playoffs, everybody better watch out because the boogeyman is on the loose. Okay, Patrick Mahomes is going to be on the loose, and he's going to snatch everybody's chain. Okay, including your New England Patriots. I'm calling you right now.
Why do you keep calling out? We're minding our goddamn business.
I'm very
salty.
Why
do you keep calling us out?
I got very salty after you guys corrected me for the Schottenheimer thing. Okay, it's personal right now. When they match up with the Patriots, Patrick Mahomes is going to go on the road, and he's going to beat them. He's going to beat them. Not significantly. I still think they're going to give him a fight. I'm going to respect you guys, but you guys are going to lose. So, look, man, I'm still scared of the Chiefs. I am. I'm still very scared of the Chiefs. I don't care what anybody says. They've owned the AFC for too long for me to ignore them. Yeah, Joe, sorry. You guys are losing to the Chiefs.
Hey, you can apologize to me. You can apologize to everyone on the planet Earth for all that matter. It doesn't change the fact that the Chiefs are not playing good football right now. And if it wasn't for some timely plays against the Colts, they are lost their last 4. Instead, they're 1-3 in their last 4. And now they go up against the best defense in the NFL in Houston. So, I don't really look at this like they're going to be this great juggernaut in general anyway. I don't see them winning out. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that this is one of those years where you look at the team and go, they're a good team. They got some pieces, but they're missing some things that other people have. And right now, the Kansas City Chiefs are not a good football team. And you can tell when you watch them on the field right now. The Dallas Cowboys had one of the worst defenses in the league. And, Granted, they're playing better. I think the trades that Jerry Jones made did really great things on that side of the football. And the offense has been clicking. The Kansas City Chiefs have been known to go into games like this, and if they're tight, they win. They haven't been winning these tight games this year. They just haven't. The first one-score game they won all season was against the Indianapolis Colts. That was it. And now we're starting to see that may have been because Daniel Jones had a fracture in his leg. If Daniel Jones doesn't end up with a fracture in his leg in that game, they probably lose because in the second half, we looked at Daniel Jones and said, he's not playing good football. And we thought it was just Daniel Jones. And now we're realizing it's Daniel Jones, but it's Daniel Jones with a broken leg. So, I don't believe in the Chiefs right now. I've kind of been on this idea for a minute where it's like, they don't look like the same team. They don't look like the same people. I don't think this is going to work for them. You still have the Chargers who, even with all of their injuries, I think are still going to be a tough out for the Chiefs because they still have a pretty decent defense. They're going to beat the Titans. They're going to beat the Raiders, but you have me thinking they're going to beat the Broncos or the Texans. I mean, they're going to lose those two games for sure. They may go 9-8, but is 9-8 good enough to make the playoffs in the AFC right now? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Is 10-7 good enough to make the playoffs? I mean, you're close, but you lose a lot of the tiebreakers to the teams you'd be tied with. Is like, you're talking 11-6 is your best opportunity. And even then you might not do it. You are behind the 8 ball. There are so many teams behind you right now, right? That it's not going to happen unless you win out. And I don't see that happening on the Cowboys side of things now. You've beat the Eagles. You have the best divisional wins in the division. You're 3-1 in the division. You don't really have to worry about the Giants. You don't really have to worry about the Commanders. I think you beat them both. If you win, you've pretty much put yourself in a spot now where the division's in sight. I have to agree with Sammy. Jerry Jones, every now and then, that old man turns back the clock. And he makes a trade or a deal or something that you're just like, what are we even doing in Dallas? And then you watch it for 3 weeks and you go, oh, that's what we're doing in Dallas. Okay. That's why Jerry Jones is still Jerry Jones sometimes. I can get behind that. Do I think they do anything major in the playoffs if they make it? Hey, anything's possible. Flip a coin at this point. Because, as long as Dak's not having terrible turnovers, which he had one in this game, let's not forget, Dak had a bad pick in this game. It was bad.
Pretty bad, yeah.
But
didn't matter.
I feel like the Cowboys are heading in a different trajectory than the Chiefs are right now. And you looked at Patrick Mahomes on that sideline during that Cowboys game, and you could kind of see it on his face that he kind of thought the same thing that I'm saying right now. That we don't have enough right now. And I'm telling you, I think that this is going to be one of those off seasons where I'm going to be watching the Chiefs very closely because regardless of how this goes for them, they make the playoffs, they don't, something has to change.
Yeah, no, the Chiefs, there's definitely going to be stuff that has to change. And obviously the Chiefs haven't been playing good football. But for both of these teams, for me, both of these teams are in the I'll believe it when I see it bucket. Okay. The Chiefs not being in the playoffs and not being a threat, I'll freaking believe it when I see it. Okay. When they're mathematically eliminated from the playoffs or they get eliminated in the wild card round, I'll believe it when I see it. Okay. But until then, they're still a freaking threat. And the Dallas Cowboys, Josh, you want me to believe in the freaking Dallas Cowboys? After 30 years of absolutely nothing, I'll believe it when I freaking see it, dude. Like there's been good Cowboys teams the last 5 years. You've been 12-5. You got the 1 seed 1 year. Then you face Aaron Rodgers. Nothing. You were 12-5. You face the 49ers. Nothing. I'll believe it when I see it with the Dallas Cowboys. Every single year, there's so much hype behind this team. And he said it in the freaking chat. Patriots fans, bro. Oh, Patriots fans are the worst. You're a Dallas Cowboys fan, bro. You're a Dallas Cowboys fan. You're not allowed to say other fan bases are the worst. You have the worst fan base in all of sports. You guys have the worst fan base in all of sports. I do not want to hear that ever again from a Dallas Cowboys fan.
They've been chill this year. They've been very timid this year. They haven't
had anything to yap about because they've been terrible. But now they win a couple of games. They're like, oh, see, now we're going to the Super Bowl.
Would you not talk crazy if you beat the defending champs and then the reigning AFC? Would you not talk crazy?
If I was 6-5-1, I wouldn't say a goddamn nothing. I wouldn't say nothing if I was 6-5-1. You're literally a half game above 500, and now you're talking about, oh, we're going to the Super Bowl. Oh, you haven't been to the Super Bowl since I was a sperm. You haven't been to the Super Bowl for that long, and I'm a damn near 30 years old at this point. So again, I am not taking that from Dallas Cowboys fans. Okay, literally nothing am I taking from Dallas Cowboys fans. I'll believe it when I see it with your trash ass team and your trash ass franchise.
I saw some Cowboys Super Bowls. Don't feel
What if
bad,
it's
guys.
different this year, though? What if it's changed? You know, what if it's a new year? You know, this might be the year, man.
You know what's it's always, oh, what if it's different this year? What if it's different next year? And then it's never freaking different. Like that's
Sammy should know what that is. He's a Dolphins fan.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing that you know.
No, what the heck, man?
we're coming up on the end of the year, and that's that you know that's been overweight for the last 20 years, and he's like, oh, you know, this year I'm going on a diet. It's like, no, you're not, you fat bastard. You're not going on a diet at all. You're gonna stay fat. Like, there's no way you're going on a freaking diet, man. That's what the Dallas Cowboys are with their fans. They just continue to blue balls them all the time. Nobody cares. Nobody cares, Josh. Nobody freaking cares. Oh, the voiceless. Oh, shut up, man. Nobody freaking cares about the Cowboys.
Hey, look. If they somehow find a way to win out, like I'm saying they might, and the Eagles keep going down this downward spiral, they could even win the division. All right, Matt. It is not out of the realm of my division.
I hope the Cowboys win the division, because you want to know what's going to happen? All the expectations are going to start to rise. All the Cowboys fans are going to start talking even more. It's going to be, oh, we won the division. Did you see the comeback? Now we're going to win the Super Bowl. Bam, NFC wildcard loss. It's clockwork with the Dallas Cowboys. It's absolute clockwork every single year. I'll freaking believe it when I see it with the Dallas Cowboys. But speaking of, again, we got a transition. We got one more game we want to talk about because NFL start. Well, speaking of teams that I got to believe it when I see it with, okay, the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions, because we saw the Detroit Lions slip to 7-5. They are now out of the playoffs, I believe, in the NFC, and the Green Bay Packers are 8-3-1. And this game, again, was kind of a back and forth affair. We saw the Lions get off to a bad start, then they started the offense on against this Packers defense, and we saw this Packers offense, again, much line Packers offense, and offense that we have been very critical of on this show, play very, very well. Jordan Love probably, in my opinion, had his best game of the year this year. 4 touchdown passes, no picks against a decent Detroit Lions defense, although I don't know how decent the Lions defense is, considering that Jameis Winston also had a nice game against the Lions defense the week before. But again, we saw this Lions offense do fairly well in the middle of the game, but we saw Goff miss a big throw to Jameson Williams, threw it behind J-Mo, could have caught it, dropped it on a big 4th down play. And we saw at the end of the game as well, big time play from Jordan Love and Dontavian Wicks as well to get that 1st down to kind of seal the deal. And now, again, Lions are in trouble. You got the Cowboys this week who are riding high. Cowboys fans think they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm sure the Cowboys think they're going to the Super Bowl. And now you got them coming in to your house on Thursday Night Football. So, fellas, what did you take away from this game between the Packers and the Lions?
This felt like a must-win for the Detroit Lions. It felt like a must-win, right? Like you've been 500 since beating the Bengals 37-24. You've literally you lose when you win. You lose when you win. Like literally, you're 4-3 since beating the Bengals, right? Now you get the Cowboys riding high. You travel to LA to face Stafford and the Rams. Then you host the Steelers, who, you know, who knows on that one. Then you're at Minnesota and at the Bears. And the only team you've beaten in your division is the Chicago Bears, who are currently leading the division. So you look at the schedule, and I think at the beginning of the year, we were talking about what seed would the Lions be, right? Like that was what we're talking about. At this point, we're talking about the Lions sitting at home watching Wild Card Weekend, not participating in it, right? Never have I seen a team so clearly miss its offensive coordinator so much than the Detroit Lions. And the funny part is that they're going to have an opportunity. I could see that, like, week 18, the Lions are winning in. And they have to do it in Soldier Field against their offensive coordinator in December in the weather. Oh, fuck, January. January 1st in the weather, right? At best. And you're telling me that that's a winnable game for Detroit? I don't think it is. Not the way the Bears are playing. Like, I believe wholeheartedly that this is a team missing offensive coordinator. And you know what? You better be calling Brian Dabble. In fact, I don't know why you didn't call Brian Dabble in the first place.
You
He
love
might not be a
Brian
good
Dable
head
so
coach, but
much.
you know he can scheme up an offense.
Man,
This guy loves Brian Dable.
Brian Dable, man. Do you want to be the head coach of the Patriots too while we're at it? Like, geez.
Hey,
bro,
I
like,
adamantly believe that there are certain people who are just better at doing a certain skill than trying to be something than what they are. Josh McDaniels is going to go down as one of the greatest offensive coordinators of all time. He's a shit head coach. It's okay. Brian Dable is the person who brought Josh Allen up, developed him into what he was, and Josh Allen went on to win MVPs. I mean, he made an offensive scheme work in Buffalo. Couldn't do it as a head coach. Right? Hell, McDaniels may be out in fucking Miami. Not a good head coach, but you know what that man can do? He can scheme up a damn offense. That's all I'm saying, man. Like, get someone else in this building, because who you have right now isn't it. You solve that problem, Detroit's right back on top. But right now, we found out Dan Campbell can do a lot of great things, but the offense was more Ben Johnson than it was anything with Dan Campbell.
I think he hit a home run with the defensive coordinator hire. I think he really did. Kelvin Shepherd is fantastic, but it's been rough offensively, and honestly, I think everybody in this panel thought, well, they're talented, way too talented for the offense to drop off too bad, and they haven't fallen off a cliff by any means, but they definitely aren't what they were last year. And I said, I believe last week that, hey, man, the offense will come together eventually, right? As long as the defense stays consistent. Look, man, I said that with the hope that they would take care of business at home against the Packers, and that did not happen. Shout out to Jordan Love, by the way. I've been very, very vocal about my disdain. I don't know if disdain is the right word.
No, that's the right word.
I was
You had it right.
opinionated. I was very opinionated about Jordan Love, and this game, in my opinion, was his best game all year. I thought he was fantastic against a good Lions defense. I thought that last throw was perfect, and if he plays like that, forget being top 15. He could be top 10. Okay, like if he's throwing that well, I mean, he was it's not like he had his entire wide receiving core healthy today. He did not. So, it was impressive. But back to the Lions for a second. Look, Dan Campbell, he had his moment, right? Calling plays, but look, clearly the offensive play calling, the scheme, it just is not working. It's just not. And because of that, it's got me worried. Now, this offense on paper is top 5, which is crazy to me, because if you look at the eye test, it just doesn't scream top 5. It doesn't even scream top 10. And the defense doesn't scream outside of the top 10 right now. I think this is the defense looks exactly how the statistics look. But with that being said, look, I'm scared for the Detroit Lions. I picked them to win this division. They might, guys, there's a solid chance that they could miss the playoffs, and it might be over by even before that Bears game. Like, if things keep going the way they're going. They face the Cowboys next week. You guys already know how I feel about the Cowboys. And then they face the Rams, who, I don't care what anybody says, that's still the best team in football. So with that being said, look, if they don't show up these next 2 games, they're going to be 7-7, and 10-7 I don't think is going to be good enough to win to make the playoffs in the NFC. That's the kind of conference we're dealing with. So it might not be enough. I'm not very sure what the standings are looking like, but yeah, the Lions got to get it together straight up.
Have to get it together. And Sammy, this was all of my preseason concerns have been validated with this team. Like, I was concerned about John Morton as the OC, going from Ben Johnson, one of the best offensive coordinators in football, to unknown in John Morton. Obviously, that has been validated, considering they don't let him call plays anymore. Okay, so that one's easily been validated. The other one The interior offensive line has been validated, considering they tried to bring back Frank Ragnow to play center again, but he couldn't even come back because he had a hamstring tear, grade 3 hamstring tear. So they couldn't even bring him back because he couldn't pass a physical. That one's been validated as well. And then that in turn validated my concern of how Jared Goff dealt with interior pressure. He does not deal with interior pressure very well. He has to slide his feet. He has to move his feet around. Once he starts moving his feet around too much, he starts delivering way more inaccurate passes. And then there goes that offense, because this offense is predicated upon Jared Goff being extremely accurate and upon these running backs being able to do their thing in the backfield. And right now, it's just not going well. And this defense also is not performing as well as I thought it would preseason. I thought this would be a better defensive unit. Right now, it's kind of middle of the pack as far as defensive units go. And, sure enough, here come the Detroit Lions. I thought they were going to sneak into the playoffs this year as the 7th seed. And I think that's the best case scenario for them now, is sneaking into the playoffs as the 7th seed. And then hopefully, you've gotten a little bit of playoff experience the last couple of years, and hopefully that takes over. But again, they're not in a very good spot right now. They could easily miss the playoffs, and we'll see in Detroit, man. They might have to think about making some changes this offseason as well, because this will be the 3rd year that they've had an opportunity to win a Super Bowl and they wouldn't have got it done. So yeah, Detroit, there's a lot of questions there, and we'll see what happens with that. But Sunday Night Football is underway, regardless of whether we think it's going to be a good game or not. We're going to watch this game between the Denver Broncos and the Washington Commanders. We talked about it a little bit earlier. We don't think, none of us think the Commanders are going to win this one. So we think it's going to be a pretty easy, pretty handily. The Broncos are going to win this. So we're just going to cut off now. We're just going to get there. We're going to go watch the football game. So thank you guys for tuning in to the live. Again, like, comment, subscribe, do all those things that we like as YouTubers. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.